Did you know J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, turned a fashion statement into a political one? With a t-shirt that calls Scotland's First Minister a destroyer of women's rights, Nicola Sturgeon now supports the Gender Recognition Reform Bill. So in today's video, we'll find out why J.K. Rowling called Nicola Sturgeon a destroyer of women's rights, and what bill Sturgeon supports. Firstly, what is J.K. Rowling's stance? The legislation will simplify the legal process of changing a transgender person's name and gender. As a trans-exclusionary radical feminist, Rowling has previously been labeled as a TERF, known as a trans-exclusionary radical feminist. In a direct essay, the creator of the Harry Potter series stated, "I refuse to bow down to a movement that I believe is doing demonstrable harm." In a 3,800-word statement posted on her website, Rowling acknowledged having experienced sexual assault. Despite prior reports of allegations, the author has never acknowledged them or talked about them. In her essay, Rowling stated, "I refuse to bow down to a movement that I believe is doing demonstrable harm and seeking to erode women as a political and biological class and offering cover to predators like few before it. I stand alongside the brave women and men, gay, straight, and trans, who are standing up for freedom of speech and thought and for the rights of safety of some of the most vulnerable in our society. Young gay kids, fragile teenagers, and women who are reliant on and wish to retain their single-sex spaces." The author's justification for her position on trans issues, which is essential that biological sex should be treated apart from gender, includes a disclosure likely to be viewed as contentious. Rowling claims that her attitude is pro-feminist and not anti-trans, but whether or not she means it to be, many in the trans community and others see it as a rejection of gender identity. Rowling emphasized that her goal in bringing up her accusation of sexual assault is to provide context for it rather than seeking sympathy. Up next, who is Nicola Sturgeon? Nicola Sturgeon is a Scottish politician who's been the SNP's leader and the First Minister of Scotland since 2014. She holds both positions for the first time as a woman. She proposed the Gender Recognition Reform Bill, where hundreds of people protested against the law. Demonstrators gathered in front of the Scottish Parliament in Edinburgh against the proposed bill. Some of them carried banners that said things like, "No one was born in the wrong body," "Humans can't change sex," and "Keep prisons single-sex." Johan Lamont, a former leader of the Scottish Labour Party, advised the committee to listen. They should challenge, they should argue, they should probe. She added, "They should not dismiss, because in that world of dismissal, you shoot the messenger. You ignore the message, you make bad laws, and other people live with the consequences." According to Nicola Sturgeon, the goal is to make the current process less demeaning, intrusive, and unpleasant. The new legislation being considered would make it simpler for individuals to be recognized legally for their preferred gender and would also expand the definition of what it means to be trans. Anyone who is at least 16 years old and has lived in their acquired gender for at least 3 months may apply. There would no longer be a need for a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria, eliminating the requirement for medical reports. However, it continues to be a contentious topic, with opponents arguing that self-identification would jeopardize the security of women-only venues. In the past, J.K. Rowling argued that the new law would hurt the most defenseless women. "I stand in solidarity with For Women Scot and all women speaking out and protesting outside the Scottish Parliament. #No to self-ID," Miss Rowling wrote in a tweet. The shirt said, "Nicola Sturgeon, destroyer of women's rights," matching those worn by many of the rally's female attendees. Up next, why did J.K. Rowling criticize some celebrities for endorsing charities for transgender people? The creator of Harry Potter has sent off a furious tweet criticizing some celebrities, which is associated with a contentious transgender charity. India Willoughby, a transgender television personality, challenged J.K. Rowling to court after criticizing celebrities for supporting the transgender children's charity Mermaids. The author of the Harry Potter series Yesterday took a subtle dig at Emma Watson and other celebrities who supported an organization in the wake of a trustee's resignation over revelations that he spoke at an academic conference sponsored by a firm that assists child molesters. Rowling criticized some celebrities for supporting Mermaids despite red flags, saying that her controversial remarks regarding transgender people have been widely interpreted as transphobic. "We've now learned that Mermaids appointed a pedophilia apologist as trustee and that their online moderator encouraged kids to move onto a platform notorious for sexual exploitation," Rowling wrote in a tweet. "This is a charity that's achieved unprecedented influence in the UK." Miss Willoughby slammed the author on Twitter. "This is awful. Someone needs to take J.K. Rowling to court. It appears to be the General Counsel's plan to bury the transgender charity Mermaids under a pile of untruths and defamatory remarks. Make a mud puddle. It will stick to some extent. Ms. Rowling said she would be the first person to sign any petition against her. J.K. Rowling condemned celebrities, while other critics demanded an official investigation into their practices. Additionally, businesses openly supported the charity without exercising due diligence. So what's the Gender Recognition Reform Bill all about? The bill modifies the procedure for obtaining a Certificate of Gender Recognition, GRC. A GRC is a document that formally acknowledges that a person's gender is not the one to which they were biologically predisposed, but rather their acquired gender. The Gender Recognition Act of 2004 outlines the current procedure for acquiring a GRC. By amending that act, this bill creates a new procedure for Scotland. The bill is at stage 1. Why was the bill created? The bill seeks to streamline the procedure for those requesting formal gender recognition. According to the Scottish Government, the existing method is burdensome and time-consuming, which may negatively affect applications. The bill would alleviate the following two concerns of the government. First, the current applications must be accompanied by a medical diagnosis of gender dysphoria and supporting documentation. Second, the government feels that excluding 16 and 17-year-olds from applying for a GRC will further harm young trans people. The government believes that the procedure outlined in the bill is a reasonable and proportionate way to enhance the procedure for gaining legal gender recognition. To guarantee that the procedure will continue to be a significant step, the government has also added two components to the bill. 1. The necessity for a statutory declaration has been maintained as it currently stands. 2. Giving incorrect information in an application has resulted in new offenses. The Scottish Government finds the procedure to be complicated. Thus, the bill also tries to make it simpler. Up next, who's the real feminist? Miss Sturgeon defended the law and referred to herself as a genuine and passionate feminist. I've spent my entire life campaigning for women's rights, and I'm a passionate feminist with lots of evidence behind that, she told. The First Minister stated that while Ms. Rowling was free to express her opinions, predatory men posed the most significant harm to women, not trans women. She claimed that it doesn't grant any additional rights to trans persons, and it doesn't take any rights away from women, adding that the measure is about reforming an established process. She remarked, "We should deal with any man who attempts to abuse any mechanism to harm women. We shouldn't further stigmatize an already stigmatized group of individuals. This is a statutory process. Anyone who abuses it faces criminal repercussions. It is not a process without important conditions linked to it." Lastly, how has Rowling clarified her position? On the other hand, J.K. Rowling tweeted to clarify her position further. "I know and respect trans individuals, but removing the concept of sex destroys the capacity of many to discuss their lives truly," she stated. In her tweet, she discusses areas for single sex. She's referring to restrooms and locker rooms. She raised objections in her essay to a Scottish proposal that would let trans people modify the gender listed on their birth certificates to match the gender they identify with. She has remarked, "You know, if you throw open bathrooms to any man who feels like he's a woman, then you throw open the doors to any and all men who wish to come inside." Some of the voices who have been critical include actors in her movie, including the most prominent star, Daniel Radcliffe. Harry Potter himself responded by posting a blog post and an essay on a site called the Trevor Project website. That's a non-profit agency that supports LGBTQ youth. In his statement, he declared that transgender women are women and that any claim to the contrary obliterates the identity and dignity of transgender people and contradicts all medical advice. Some LGBTQ rights groups called J.K. Rowling's tweets harsh and misleading and said that she continues to connect herself with an ideology that willfully distorts facts about gender identity and trans people. She frequently expresses her opinions on Twitter and is met with a large and growing amount of criticism. So for you, who among the two is the real feminist? Please comment below and let us know what you think about this. There you have it, guys. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can be notified when we post our next video. Thank you for watching.